This is not good. We're on, aren't we? How about this guy over here?
The Stark Media Auto
guy
Show.
just hits the record button. I'll let him go.
Let him rock and roll.
And they drop
Wasn't
some
there
stuff.
a disclaimer we were supposed to have there?
The preceding BS is not for consumption outside of the halls of Tozzis on 12. All right, we are spitballing here. We're going to jump on here for a couple minutes. Post Jim Ballard podium speaking at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club at Tozzis on 12th. And again, Jim did a great job today, and got to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit on his flourishing and beating the odds on and off the field, and just life itself. And that was cool to get a little behind the scenes look there, and finishing up talking some football. And I guess it always ends with the Browns somehow. We'll kind of start there. When we get Jimmy over, we'll talk a little college and a little high school, and we'll wrap it up. But Pony, how many different ways can you find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, especially at the professional level, where parity is king in the National Football League, and everybody's supposed to be kind of about the same. And well, we figure out ways to do it, don't we?
And they've done it year after year after year. And you got to feel bad. I like Cleveland. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Raiders fan.
Oh, I know you're silver and black all the way.
So, when the Browns would lose, it wouldn't bother me all that much. But I've never seen a fan base that was probably that
tortured.
Well, and loving of their team
still.
And you know what, Sam? After you hit your hand with a hammer so many times, you go, I'm not doing this anymore.
You're not going to do it again.
Those people keep coming back. I think they're still the number one merchandise seller in the NFL. The Browns are, but boy, there was games.
And it's not because of the fancy logo merchandise.
No. Although I do like the Browns logo in the middle of the field.
You like Brownie?
Yeah.
You like the elf?
I think that brings back some of the tradition that they have.
Yeah. Back when they won consistently.
Right.
And like actually won championships and things. But that's a long way away. But you're right. The fan base, and I'm at the point now where my late father used to pull me aside and said, Is it passion or is it stupidity? He's right. How many times can you hit your hand? How many times do you go back to a restaurant and get bad food? I guess we do that once in a while, but we don't make a habit of it. Browns fans continually filled Municipal Stadium with 80,000 people. They continue to fill First Energy with 67,000, and it's the same result.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel for the fans, especially in late November, December, January, where you're braving the elements. God knows you're forking over a lot of money for tickets, for parking, for the concessions. In the hopes of this is going to be the day where it changes. This is going to be the time, and it never happens. And the people keep coming back, and I get it, and I understand it. I guess we've all been there. We've all been there at one point in our life where we loaded up the tailgate wagon and we got there at 6 a.m. and for better or worse, didn't know what was going on at noon. We either made it into the stadium or we didn't. I get all that. But there comes a point in time where you got to look at yourself and say, why do I love this football team? Why do I keep handing them money? Why do I keep rooting for them? And they just don't give any love back to us. Where do you draw the line there?
The regular season losses are one thing, but the playoff losses are even worse.
Yeah.
I still in my basement have the picture of Mike Davis intercepting Brian Sipes' pass, red right 88. We had the fumble, we had the drive, and those are just absolute daggers. Because if the Browns would have won those 3 games, I think they had a chance to win Super Bowl in those 3 years.
I agree.
They were great football teams, but yeah, so it doesn't bother me so much when they lose. And watching what's happening this year is not good. And this whole Deshaun Watson thing is, I know you and I have had some discussions.
A lot of layers there.
I would have never signed the guy. They gave up way too much for him. And what now I'm reading that he wants to be traded to the Giants.
Who does?
Deshaun Watson.
I've not heard this. When did
Because
I was just on Twitter
it
2
was,
minutes ago.
It was a joke because the guy was kind of it looked like he was getting rubbed off down there on the sideline yesterday.
Oh,
They had
boy.
his pants halfway down, and the trainer, you couldn't see anything, but he was just kind of going to town. Crank yanker.
Well, thank you for clarifying that, TJ.
Yeah.
For those of you out there listening, that was TJ Downey.
Oh my God! I mean, okay. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Columbus Day. Jesus.
Happy endings. Happy Monday.
Oh
God.
boy, it's off the rails already. Well, have a good night, everybody. So the Browns did their usual Browns thing. Oh, and now Bill Belichick's coming to town
Oh boy.
next Sunday with Bailey Zappi, the third string quarterback, because Hoyer's out with concussion. He may be able to come back. I don't know. And then they put it to the Lions yesterday, which, the Lions. Well, the Lions have been pretty competitive this year.
They're getting better.
They're getting better. They're kind of buying into Dan Campbell and the biting the kneecap thing and all those things. So they're coming into town, and then it really gets difficult quickly. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and then we'll see what happens after that. But just a weird day. And TJ and I were talking before, the Chargers, they don't even know what run the football is. They were dead last in rushing. Oh, they go for over almost 250 yesterday.
And they were talking about them winning the AFC West.
Yeah.
And how everybody else was going to be looking behind them.
Yeah.
But, and you look at the NFL and what's going on right now, that AFC North, where the Browns are, not a good division. Cincinnati still can't protect the quarterback.
Blew it last night. Ravens pulled it out in Baltimore. Now, we do know one thing, and I think it's finally safe to say, finally, I'm gonna make the proclamation right now.
You're writing it down.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are done.
Toast.
It's over. Mike Tomlin, it's over. Bill Cowher, it's over. Big Ben, it's over. Kenny Pickett, it's over. It's done.
Are you telling me this is the end of Tomlin?
No, it's the end of Tomlin not having a losing season as a head coach.
Oh.
He's never had one. It's over. Now, am I going to revel in that and jump up and down and have a party? No, because the Browns are still doing Browns things. But the party's over in Pittsburgh, folks. You better find another team to root for, because you probably will. And then when they get good, you'll come back and get on the wagon like you always do. All right, Sam Burke with TJ Down and Jimmy Ballard, Mark Milano. We are live here at Tozzis on 12th. A little post game after the tremendous talk by the Hall of Famer Jimmy Ballard today. And I heard you, and I 100% agree with you. You came over and you were talking to some folks, and somebody said, "Yeah, you got to go do an interview now." He says, "Oh, that's the easy part." A little different up there when you're looking out and all the eyes are on you in a closed environment, and you can because they're pretty much on top of you here, which makes it really special for the folks that are in attendance. But it's a lot different up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's and Mark has called me the king of smack. It's always easy to.
I wanted to say something about that, but I said I don't know that he wants to go there.
It's easy to talk smack. Oh man, you know what I did? I think we're 12,000. That kind of stuff. But then when you actually have to talk about yourself, looking back in a completely different way, it is nerve-wracking and
emotional
and emotional because of
Sure.
everything that has happened in the last year. Even in the last 10 days, which I didn't even talk about, which it's been interesting to say the least. But it's, more than anything, I wanted to make it less about, my accolades and the things that I did as a player, and more what has come from the game and what it has given me, and the relationships that have developed because of the game. Being able to teach, kids, to help kids, for example, like Dom Davis and Anthony Meglin. I worked with both those kids. They both had very good college careers, and now they're
Black
in the
and
role
gold.
of a coach. Also, Jared Skaggs over at Jackson. Those guys have been part of Ballard Quarterback Academy, and it was always my vision and the big picture of what the end game isn't to play in the NFL for a lot of these kids.
Sure.
But the one thing that I always say is we use this game to get us to college, to get a better job, and to do a little bit better than our parents. And that's what this game does for us. And that's what the game did for me. As I said, I was first college graduate, and I'm up here because of the game of football. Had it not been for the game, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be talking right now. I mean, it's what has navigated through, my experience as a player and the doors that it has opened because of it.
Yeah, that's and I got the same speech growing up too, and I'm glad to see you and I got a little something in common. We were both on academic probation in college. That was nice.
But
I thought I was the only
double
one.
Secret, double secret.
I thought I was the only. Now you still taught me a little bit by a point
Flounder.
something, but
Fat, dumb, and stupid is no way to go through school.
my God, it took me a while to figure that out too. When you attend Walsh, and that you have spent more time at OU, Ohio State, Akron, and Kent than you have in North Canton, there's going to be a problem, and that's what happened with me. But we've all come through and made it. Some a little further.
I was pretty close.
Some a little further.
Very, very close.
Some a little further than others, and I'll go down to the bottom there, and you guys can have the top three on the totem pole. But we got a great crew here, and obviously, if people were wondering, hey, look at these guys sitting around this table. This is Stark Media team. A good portion of it. We got some other great folks that have been doing some great work for us as well. And we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in at Stark Media Team on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the Stark Media YouTube channel. And we got a lot of great, exciting things coming up, and certainly hoping that you kind of come along on the ride with us and take the journey with us. And I think we got a great end game, so to speak.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, drink that Kool-Aid. Drink that Stark Media Kool-Aid, baby. We're coming for you. So be sure to check it out and stay with us. I was telling TJ, and we say this every single year. I can't believe it's week 4. I can't believe it's week 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's week 9.
Yep.
It's
Crazy.
9. And before you know it, we're going to be looking at pairings for playoff games here in a couple of weeks. Playoffs. We didn't do diddly poo. So where we'll go around the room. We'll start with Jimmy, and we'll go to Mark, and then we'll go to TJ. But here we are, week 9. We've seen what we've seen. We can kind of forecast a little bit what we think we're going to see. But where are you sitting after 8 weeks of football, and what jumps out, what stands out, who stands out, who still has another gear or two to get to, and who do you think might have to really push it to get there?
I have to say, coming into the season, I thought that McKinley would be better, after the first season with Antonio Hall, but it's still such a process. Mm-hmm. And their non-league schedule did not do them any favors. I mean, playing Menor, playing Dublin Kaufman, Fitch, who is 6-1, 7-1 now.
Yep.
But towards, then they got beat by Perry, and you're like, oh boy.
I'm still scratching my head there at that one.
I am. We all sit around and then talk about, specifically right now the Federal League. Man, you could stand at the front of the craps table and throw the dice, and you really don't know what's going to happen. And it's like that for a lot of these Friday night games in the Federal League.
Yeah, it is.
We knew that Lake was Lake. They started out hot. Mm-hmm. And I said the way that, things are going, I said McKinley's probably going to beat them, and they did. After McKinley loses to Perry, then McKinley beats Lake. Green beats Jackson. Green then beats who last week? Perry?
Yeah, by 3. High-scoring affair.
Then they beat Perry.
Yeah.
Louisville beats Green.
Louisville beat Green.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
You just –
is that good or bad?
I think it's good because the parity in the league any given Friday, anything can happen. Glen Oaks, they played poorly against Jackson. They didn't show up. And then last week they play extremely well.
That game shocked me.
Oh, TJ and I mean,
this game
21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Yeah.
Shocked me.
It was essentially running clock to start the second half. It was 31-0 to close out halftime. I was like,
ugh. Yeah. That still shocked me.
Credit to Golden Eagles. The defense only gave up 1 touchdown in the second half. If you're going to take a positive away.
And then they build on that, and they got a win last week. I mean, and in Division I, everybody gets in but one team. Yeah. So everybody has a chance. There was a couple upsets last year, but it's interesting that there is so much parity because I don't really remember it like this. Then Lake beats, Hoover last week. And I think the way, depending on this week, going into next week, I think Jackson can knock off Hoover. You're seeing a young quarterback getting. They are a different team with Lucas Eckerman in the lineup.
Yeah,
I know it's a small sample size, and he played in the second half, but he had a great first half.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching him play Friday. When we do the Central Catholic Jackson game, I want to see. I've known Randy for forever, his dad,
Yeah.
and I know there's
Really good
some
friend of mine.
athleticism in that family, baby.
Oof.
So I want to see Lucas, and I want to see how Jay and his staff kind of bring him in, bring him along, and obviously week 9. It's a very dangerous week for Jackson, as it is a lot of teams, because let's face it, you're 16, 17, 18-year-old. What are you doing? You're looking ahead to the rivalry game, week 10. All right. Here comes Central, not a Federal League opponent, Division 6 school. Oh, Hoover's over the horizon. It's a tough week.
It is.
And Central's got him a couple times. They've got him a couple times.
They have got him.
So I think this will be a competitive game. I think, Jackson's obviously bigger, and they've got more depth. They trust more kids, but I know Trucker will have his kids ready, and we're looking forward to that game. But I go back to we talked about this, the Federal League as a whole, and Stark County as a whole. And I hate to say it, but to me right now, it's Maslin and everybody else, and it's not close. To me, that's not good for us. That's not good for everybody. That's not good for the county, because, there's 20 schools, okay? 19, 20 if you want to count Green in the mix, which we will because they're Federal League. But I don't think it's good to have one team so much better than everybody else. And you talk about the playoffs.
We might have to call it 21 and throw the Malvern Hornets in there.
You might have to bring them in.
I agree with you.
You might have to bring them. And I don't know. I guess I'm longing for the days where that you didn't just have that we weren't just heavily represented in the postseason, but we had more than a handful of teams that were going to make a run. I don't feel that way anymore. I hate that.
I'm with you.
Hate that.
And I agree that it's not good for the county to have Maslin, so much better.
Maslin or bust, really.
Maslin or bust, literally. And it's not Maslin's fault.
No. I'm not saying that at all.
No. I know that.
Yeah.
And everybody outside of Maslin will say that,
But the fact is this, and I've said this jokingly, but it's the truth. People got really pissed off when Baker Mayfield planted the flag at Ohio State, right? The year before, there was something said or whatever. My point is this: if you don't want the flag to be planted, then don't lose at home.
Don't lose at home.
If you're sick of hearing about Maslin, figure it out.
Get better.
And get better.
Get better.
Change. Get more involved in the programs. I don't know what the answers are for all these schools. I can evaluate quarterbacks in different situations like that and tell you what to do. But the logistics of running a program, that's not my deal. But they just got to get better. If you don't want people to keep talking about Maslin or Mount Union,
right,
then beat them and get better.
And it's a process, but you got to start that. You got to lay the groundwork somewhere.
The groundwork is in the middle school and
the
Kiwi program,
and you got to want to do it. You got to put the time in. And I know it's a 80-hour-a-week job. Some are cut out for it, some aren't. But you will never get any better if you don't put in the time and effort to try to get better. And whether it's maybe having a little bit more financial backing and getting some help and getting some other people involved, or bringing different people in. And the way kids just roll around school to school now, you also got to take that into consideration. But I just worry about, the NFL. No, forget the NFL. That's a different animal. College. I always think college football is healthy when Ohio State, Michigan are great.
Yep.
USC, UCLA are great. Florida State, Florida, Miami, Texas, Oklahoma. Those teams, Notre Dame. Those teams.
As a Catholic, we were in trouble.
Yes, right. Those teams, when they're good, all's good.
The landscape's better.
The landscape is better. And look, I'm not putting down an upstart team like Coach Lance over at Kansas done a hell of a job. Started off 5-0.
Right?
I mean, when's the last time game day showed up in Lawrence for football? All right. Say never. Okay. So, and I love those little stories like that, the little engine that could, and get their fan base excited and get some exposure. And I love that. The high school, again, I think when McKinley, Maslin are both very good, I think it's very, very good. I'm going to take it down for us a little bit. I think when St. Tom and Central,
take it way down for us.
I think when Central and St. Thomas are very, very good, that's very, very good for the county.
Yeah.
And then you throw in maybe the top 2-3 dogs from the Federal League, and you get a couple of the up and comers, the EBC, and the pack, and of course some independents, then I think you got something. My fear is, and I was just looking on our Twitter feed about some possible matchups if the playoffs started today, and I look at Division I, Division II, Division III, and I almost feel like we're just going through the motions here. The first three, everybody can line up and get taken out at the usual. It's a 6 versus 11 just to get thumped by them, and to me, that's a miss. That's a miss in there somewhere.
I think when we look at Stark County football, Lake is kind of the Rodney Dangerfield of Stark County football. Every week, they're not going to beat Maple Heights, and they beat everybody in front of them except Canton McKinley.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good Lake team. But the other thing I take away from this year is I think it's the year of the quarterback. You look around the area with Will DeShields, Jackson Johnson, Poochie Snyder, Talkington,
Zerbrug.
I'm going to tell you what. I am a believer. I finally got to watch Zerbrug and DeShields battle Friday night against each other. Great ball game.
You had a great game.
A lot of wind, rain, not great for quarterbacks, Jimmy. But I'm going to tell you what, those kids got it right here, and I can't wait to watch them play again.
Well, you look at how Division IV shakes out. I mean, West Branch right now, if it ended today, West Branch would be the number 1 seed, and they could potentially have an easier road right into the regional championship. I mean, underneath them would be the likes of, in the bottom half of the bracket, Girard, Canton South, Northwest, all of those teams, West Branch and Drew DeShields, they have the capability of beating them. I think if you look down even a little bit further, some teams, Alliance, they're now Division III. They're not going to have to face a Hoban in D2 like they did in round 1 and get beat by 40 points. I mean, Alliance could potentially, they if it ended today, they play Talmadge, but then they would have to face Canfield, and that's not an easy task with Brock Lowry. And then if they would be able to get past that, you're probably going to have to face Ursuline. So that's not an easy road to hoe.
First team to 70.
And I mean, when you start to think about Lake, if they're healthy, if they're running the right offense, I'll come out and say it, since I'm not the quarterback guru. I'm an offensive line guru, and I've seen Lake personally. If Will Butler's throwing the ball, if Will Butler is the guy at the controls on the offense, with Solberger, with some good kids, Baker, Schneider, guys running around there, making plays in the defense, Evan Brady, what he does in the middle part, some big offensive linemen. I know they were banged up a little bit. Okay. Them and Massillon facing off against each other, I still tip the hand over to Massillon. But if Lake firing on all cylinders, everybody healthy, I think it can be competitive. Hell, they were up 14-0 on McKinley.
Yeah. Then McKinley woke up and ran off 30 in a row, and it was game, set, match. But you're right. I think for some of our other teams, they are going to have to play the perfect game for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row.
That's the best part about the playoffs, too, right?
That's tough.
You got to play a perfect game.
Just like how about the run last year with Green?
Yeah.
Trevor Van Horn. If somebody would have told all of us at this table, hey, Green's not going to win the Fed, but they're going to go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
No.
One game away from the state. Can you imagine that?
No. And then I've worked with Van Horn, and I worked with Trey Martin and a lot of those guys since they were in 8th grade. And Van Horn's stepdad told me, he's like, Jimmy, he's like, I'm going to tell you right now. He goes, before it's all said and done, this group of guys in this class is going to do something special.
Boy, did that.
It was a great group.
They ever. It was an unbelievable run.
And again, that's the game of football. And I've heard people out there before say that, nobody has a chance to win this game.
Yeah.
That's why you line up and play the game. Nobody would have given Green a chance to win that game, especially how it started off with that penalty,
against Massillon,
and you're thinking, oh man, Green's going to fold up. It's going to be done. And by the end, Mark Geis and the team, and I put the picture up there today before you spoke with you and Trey Martin, Trevor Van Horn holding the regional championship trophy. That's why you line up and play the game.
The irony of Massillon losing that game, trying to run the clock out and then flipping the script this year, a couple 2-3 weeks ago against St. Ed's when put it on the carpet. Massillon scoops it, and super soft Slaughter. He's really emerging. He just needs to get a little bit more consistent. There's one game that he'll throw for like 250, be lights out, 16 for 20, and then he'll throw a 5 for 10 in there. But they are so talented. I mean, Hartson, the game we did against Fitch, they lined up and banged them out for 406. I mean, they physically lined up and punched them in the mouth. It was a mauling. It was like when Muhammad Ali wouldn't knock the guy out, and he just kept jabbing, uppercut. That's what they did to Fitch for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
I mean, they just dominated them. They are so good up front. And the scary thing about Massillon is, we keep talking about Massillon and everybody else. Their JV team is extremely talented. Their freshman
team
is loaded.
8th grade team
and
has now been
eighth grade
undefeated
team.
The 8th
for
grade
2
team,
years in a row now.
For 2
they
years in a row.
have dudes everywhere.
They've got kids coming. You guys probably know. I ran into, it was a chance passing by with Brett Marshall the other day.
OTA, Brett.
They have kids that are going to be playing in Massillon coming up the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. Dare I say, because I don't know what's going to go on at Hoban, but dare I say multiple opportunities for state championships.
No question. They're in
And
the,
I
you
don't
can't
even
not-
feel bad about saying it because I think it could happen.
They're legit. And the scary thing is they're young. They're still filling in some pieces. What they do on defense, JP Simon does a great job with that defensive line. Pringle in the middle as a middle linebacker, one of the best linebackers in the area, if not the state. Him getting carries against Fitch. When they decided not to give it to Hartson, all he did was go like 10 for 77. And then you had the sophomore who came in.
Yeah.
They are just loaded. Defensively, they get after it. They're fast. They bring blitzes. They mix coverage. I mean, they came, we did the Glen Oak game, and they came from everywhere. They against Fitch. Fitch had a Division I running back with some offers. They shut him down.
Shut him down.
I mean, they knocked him out of the game. I think they ran for, 20 yards, Mark, on the day?
Yeah, they said
most
no
of the
mas. By the fourth quarter, they just said, that's it. We're out of here.
They threw the
it's
ball
like,
well.
It's like Rocky Foreman.
I mean, the only thing that worries me about Massillon, and it's been this way for a couple of years, it's some of the mental mistakes.
Penalties.
And I know the coaches keep saying it, and we'll say, you can't keep doing that. You can't. Well, and they still make it, but you really got to stop doing that stuff because it will kill you.
You can get away with it when you play the lesser teams because
Yes.
you're just better and you can overcome that. But the deeper you go in the playoffs, you do Mount Union games, Sammy. You know if some of those things keep repeating after like the first round of the playoffs, second round, then it starts to get real. The penalties show up, the turnovers show up. Those kind of key situations where you're doing something wrong, that's when it shows up. Not
the game
right now.
against Green. They had 150 or 180 yards in penalties in that game. But the one thing, what you said, and I understand what you're saying about Massillon, if what I'm being told is true, and they change the number of boys that you need to be Division I, Massillon moves to Division I.
Yep.
Perry moves to Division I. Green moves
Hoover
to Division I.
maybe to
And
one.
Hoover.
I-
Different level.
I think you may have seen. I got and it's a long list. It's too long to print out and show and post. But I got the numbers, the projected numbers from 23 through 29 or 2030, which is always away. And you're right on the mark with the enrollment. And Massillon will be back at 1. Perry will be back at 1. Hoover will be back at 1. Lake will be back at 1. That changes things
Completely.
because now you're duking it out with Hoban. And I guess I'll throw Winton Woods in there. LaSalle's having a terrible year, so forget about them this year. But if you make that little bump up, now you're jabbing with Iggy, Eds, Medina, Moeller, X, Elder, Mason. That's a whole new ball.
It's a
game.
different animal, and I'm not sure that's going to be really good for high school football. I really don't. I mean,
Well, here's what they
There-
shouldn't have
there-
done. 16 teams shouldn't be going to the playoffs.
Amen. God Almighty, thank you. 8. OHSAA, you've recouped enough money. Let's get it back to 8
Right.
and make people actually earn their way in. You don't need to be playing 16 games to crown a state champion. Come on, these are kids.
I agree with
I'm
you.
sorry.
That's longer than Mount season.
That's baloney.
Longer
It
than
is
than a college season.
absolute baloney. And again, I don't want to go off on that right now, but Mark, 100% or get it back to 8.
I'm fine with
make it.
I'm fine with 12.
12's a hard number to work with. I think numbers wise.
I'm just speaking purely not the logistics of running the tournament itself, but just from the fact that like what they're looking to do in college. I think 12 could give that underdog a shot, maybe 9, 10, 11, or 12. One of those 4 teams is probably going to win a game. And they could go on a run.
Just like when Boise State beat Oklahoma.
Exactly.
I was in the stands watching that game.
Just the difference is it's not baseball. It's not a series. It's one game.
Right. But it's a series of games once you get to 12. You got to win 3. Now, Boise could beat Oklahoma once.
Yeah.
They weren't beating them again.
Yeah.
Or Boise wasn't, whoever would have been after that, they weren't beating them again.
Are you going to beat the winner of Ohio State, Florida the following game? Probably not.
No. Is there a chance? Yes. But the longer you make an underdog's trail to get there, the harder it is.
Especially in
football,
I think
with the right now,
of the game.
I think it's just you're just lining up, and undoubtedly at the end of the trail, it's going to be the usual suspects we see every year. We see that in high school football. We see it in college.
D3, Whitewater.
It's
Hardin
Baylor,
Mount,
Whitewater,
North Central,
and that's it. So
every year,
do all the things you want to do, show the brackets and play. It's going to be the same guys at the end of the day. Look, we could probably sit here right now and forecast the Final Four for divisions 1 through 7 in high school football and probably be 90% correct.
Yep.
Okay. D1, Ed's Moeller, probably in the state title game, right?
Yes.
A team from Dublin may be in there.
I haven't looked, but Pickerington North, Central.
Pick Central is okay. Maslin, Hoban will be there. Winton Woods will probably be there. And
they got another Williams, for God's sake.
Throw Avon in that mix.
The younger brother of the running back is the
Mayans. Yeah. I heard he might have a meniscus issue. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm hearing bad information there, but I heard that could be with Mayan Williams and Ohio State. But hopefully that's not the case. But I mean, and division we can and look, Marion local, put him in there. Kirtland, but we can. It's just like
Marion Stein local is going to have to play Kirtland probably for a state title. They're both in the same division.
Yeah.
Normally you're just penciling, okay, Marion Stein local, they're going to win it. Kirtland, they're going to win it. That's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Well, even Central Catholic now that they're down in Division 6, and from all the upper echelon talent that they face, they're going to be playing a Division 1 school here this week with Jackson. Yeah. Some of the bigger schools that they've played. Trucker's not afraid to line up and play anybody. Mm-hmm. That serves you probably pretty good once you get into the playoffs because. You can see them. You're sitting there 5-3 right now. They're doing some good things. You got Talkington, who's a stud. You got a couple big offensive linemen. Yep. Defensively, if you can find a way to make some plays, you could easily see them in at least in that regional championship game.
Yeah. And you've got another bye week 10.
Is that going to happen? Probably.
St. Thomas should not play again this season. What St. Thomas needs to do right now is they need to scale it back and play a freshman schedule, and that's it.
Try to build
right,
and if the time is right, varsity,
which breaks my heart to see that because that was a game, and back in the day that was always a really competitive game.
Yeah, this year they were going to bring it back to week 10. I was going to be on a Thursday, which I'm not a big fan of, but whatever. Due to some other circumstances, we're playing that thing in the middle of the year. But it was going to be week 10 again, and it was going to be the Friday night around Halloween, and Central St. Tom getting after it. But I hope I don't know. I hope we see it as a game, and then again, I don't know if it should happen. I would doubt that they'll play this weekend.
No,
I mean,
they supposed to play this week, Mogador.
I think Mogador or is it JFK?
JFK was canceled last week. It's supposed to be Mogador this
supposed
Friday.
To be Mogador.
They're not going to play Mogador.
No. So do you try to, Mark, do you try to gather it up and go out and try to play your rival week 10 just to say you did it? Or do you just – that's tough, man. Yeah. That's tough on everybody.
It doesn't make any sense going out there and getting beat 49-0.
Exactly.
Probably not.
I think it's one of those things where there's people going to be pissed or happy on both sides.
Either way.
Either way. There's no – the sad thing about it is this is the situation.
Mm-hmm.
However they got there, whatever – or didn't go into them only having this amount of players, this is where it's at. And
can you recover from that? Can you recover this day and age where less kids are going out for football for a myriad of reasons? Enrollment's down, the feeders are down, the feeder systems are now they're going up a little bit. They got a little bump the last 2 years. But gosh, guys, and we were even talking before your talk up here today, Jimmy, that McKinley, 3 state championships, Central Catholic, 3 state championship. Who's got the other one?
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas. And they almost went back to back if it wasn't for Carlos Snow and Cape. So how far removed is the program for? And I know it was a long time ago. I understand it. But man, you hate to see it. Even as a Central
I mean,
I hate
Mark,
to see it.
we were just taking a trip down to Toronto just a few years back, and
Yeah.
Coach Cook had them rolling with Antonio Hall on the D side.
That was a Cedar Point ride down there.
So our guy Sarakatak, he's running the offense. Coach Cook was the head guy, and man, they had players. They were lining up. They had a chance to make a little run. I mean, it was until they ran into Lucas, which that we saw that offense in person. I mean, it's just a nightmare. I mean, it's as bad as the wing T to try and stop.
I think it's worse.
They run it really well.
Yeah,
and it's so hard to defend, and you really don't see an offense like that. But
No,
it is sad, man.
It's sad. It is.
You're
You hate to
talking
see it.
about such a long-standing rivalry, not just in football but other sports as well, and to see them where they're at now, it is.
And
it's
what
really
we talked
sad.
about earlier, Sam, one of only 3 schools in the area to have won a playoff state championship.
It kind of stinks because when you get to that point in a run or a season, everybody's got your back. I don't care, public school, everybody's behind you. If you're in the Stark County and you're playing for a title, hell, I remember going down to watch St. Tom down in Columbus those 2 years. I remember guys coming down to watch us play. You saw all the different coaches of the different schools coming down to root you on. Now, they wouldn't the season, but by God, when it's time for a trophy for your county, they're going to be there and they're going to back you. I've seen Massillon fans go back McKinley and vice versa. It's just who we are and what we do. And it's
I don't know. I didn't see a whole lot of red and black over there in Paul Brown Tiger Stadium when they hosted Hovind for a state title.
Well, they may have been there for different reasons,
right.
but they were there. But that's kind of about where we are. But
Mark, you were wondering about the Deshaun Watson trade. I found that there for you. That's why.
Hey, well, since we're talking playoffs here, the state has decided that they're going to play the first 2 rounds of the games on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough officials. I keep talking about this because TJ's always good enough to come, when he comes down to me asking me about the officiating crew. We do not have enough officials in the state of Ohio right now. John Evans, God bless his soul, 70 years old. He was wearing the white hat when we were doing the game, Jackson and McKinley.
No kidding. Johnny's still out there.
Yeah, still going out there and doing that. And people will tell me, I hear all the complaints in the stands. I mean, you guys are kind of immune to that because, you're up in the box. And I keep telling them all the same thing. If you don't like what you're seeing out there, go take the class.
Go take a class.
Yep.
And see how hard it is.
Get signed up, take the exam. And hey, here's another problem, though. Because of the lack of bodies to go officiate, instead of starting out doing peewee games or mighty mites, or they're being thrown out onto the JV field or the varsity field, they're not ready.
Anointing by fire.
And of course, they're going to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And those
They're
are the
human.
ones.
Yeah.
The people in the stands that get this guy out of here. What's he looking at? You homer, you missed that call, but they shouldn't be out there.
Sam,
You need the seasoning before you can get out there.
I shadowed every position except the umpire because of where the position is. I can't tell you how difficult it is to do what they do. So McKinley is scrimmaging Ignatius, and Todd Filch was the head coach at the time. So Ron DeChellis was the white hat. So I'm back there with Ron. Ball's coming to McKinley's sideline, and he's screaming at Ron DeChellis because he didn't throw a flag. And he goes, "Did you see the hold?" And I said, "Yep." I said, "But I was looking behind the play and shouldn't have been looking there. If I was looking where Ron was, which is exactly where he should have been looking, that's the case." That's how difficult it is. They need to get an extra official that's out on the field. They're not paying these guys enough. $80 to do a game with gas prices
Travel
right
and
now.
accommodation.
You have to pay your dues every year. So you mentioned the fact that these guys may not be as efficient in a game as they're supposed to. It's just because they don't have the experience. Jim, you said it. Nothing beats the experience, taking those snaps, doing those things. That's what these guys need.
Well, how are we going to play these games on Saturdays once we get going?
I don't know.
So now you're going Friday and Saturday. The travel is going to be longer for the officials because we're stretching things out all over the state, Northwest, East, South. I mean, how are we going to?
We're going to lose another crew to Division I football too. Division I college football. one of our high school crews here is going to be,
Yeah.
they're going to be going and doing Division I college games.
No.
Wow.
And good for them. That's their goal.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Go.
Yes.
Go do it. And you worked hard to get there. So go
And
ahead.
it's more
and do
than
it.
$80.
Hey, down in Texas, you get 300 a game
Wow.
for high school. 300. And I don't know how many divisions are down in Texas. So, 3A, 4A. I don't know how many there are, but
I think there's at least 5.
You
Wasn't Florida? Didn't they hold out to try to get more money? The officials.
I
were gonna
believe it
boycott
was. Yes, it was Florida. So yeah, they're getting. Now I'm not saying you get 300 a game, but I don't know.
They should get at least $100.
Figure out a way and help them with
That's
the
not
travel
asking
or
too
something.
much.
I don't know. Just an idea.
But
But the playoffs will be they'll be interesting again. 16 weeks for teams that are going to make it all the way. We are lucky though that they're going to be here,
Yes.
and I think they
As
should
they
be here
should be.
forever.
Sure.
They should never open that up again.
No.
Yeah, don't go back to the horseshoe.
There's really no reason to ever. There was never a reason to open it up.
Those
again.
people that were working at that game. I don't know if you felt the same way as I did. They didn't necessarily want us there. They didn't want to be there
No.
to work that game. Even though
No.
what that lady had told me, just because I was going to go and eat with you guys, she goes, "Well, you're a sideline guy. You're not supposed to come in here with these guys to eat." Okay.
Yeah.
The redheaded stepchild steps forward once again.
That's as bad as you stealing a sandwich up there at St. Ignatius.
Oh, jeez. I thought I was going to lose my life over that.
There's about
Stealing food.
there's
You're
about-
stealing signs from the horseshoe after a game. What else have you stolen?
There's
Stolen
about 50
signs?
ham
I have
sandwiches.
no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I got one in my garage, and I don't know how it got there.
and then you go to the game, and it's such a big stadium. It's like a D6 or 7 school. It
It's
looks
no
like
fun.
just little specks in the.
It
stadium.
echoes
It's like,
because of the shape. The horseshoe goes straight up, and
I
then
mean,
all that
come on,
noise just
man.
bounces. And,
Yeah.
what's more important, to say you played at the shoe, or to be in an environment that's
right.
more
And what-
exciting?
what-
where you
what-
can
Do
really
it right
feel
next to the Pro
crowd.
Football Hall of Fame.
What do they always say? It's for the kids. Really, you were doing that for the kids?
Yeah.
Kids want to go out there and play in
if-
front of 90,000.
If you're doing it for the kids,
then
then you take it over here so that they can walk through the Pro Football Hall of Fame, see the legends of the game, see what excellence looks like,
right.
be able to see all the new attractions, the what is it, Joe Namath and the locker room
hologram
setting.
thing,
Yeah, I
Zip
mean that's what you
line.
get
do
them on the zip line, take them over to Shula's, get in the water park, check out the hotel, check out the.
Well, they're not allowed to go to Shula's until Jim does first.
That's right.
He's
true.
first.
Oh, that's
man.
right.
He's
You
got
got,
the
you
first
got
steak.
dibs on the first porterhouse over there. Well, but
First
make
one
sure
off
to
the
invite your
grill.
boys over.
Donnie
we
Ball
we,
game
for that
we,
one.
we told Ann we need to put get a 13 branding iron on it. Just right there.
Big 30-ouncer.
I'll buy that first one for you, brother.
what was the steak in the great outdoors? That's what I want.
You want that one?
I know this is shocking. Never saw that.
Well, fellas, before we go, we touched on the Browns. We touched on college. Checked on Ohio State. Before we go, end on a good note. We'll talk a little baseball here before we wrap
Well,
up.
watch out. He's a
In
Yankees
just a
fan,
couple
I think.
minutes. I know.
He
You know that-
knows.
You know that payroll is $182 million difference.
I don't even, sadly, and I've kind of not followed baseball just because it's just long to watch. And I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 players, but what the Indians, reading up on the Indians, the fact that they have one of the youngest rosters in Major League
26 years old, age.
average, and one of the lowest payrolls, and this
Yeah.
is what we're
How long
doing.
do they
Yeah.
keep him then?
Terry Francona,
It's
man,
always been the case.
manager of the year for sure.
Yeah.
And they are loaded. You talked about their farm system
They always
is like, it's sick how much talent they've got. Now, they're going to have to move some of that if they want to bring. I don't know if this new investor, this David Blitzer, I don't know if he's going to financially come in and save the day. I don't know that. I think his long-term goal is to buy Dolan out and run it, and maybe bring some of his guys in as minority. I don't know, but they have so much talent from Columbus to Akron to I forget the A League, but even down to the rookie ball, they are loaded. But Mark just made a great point. Okay, your average is 26 years of age. How long will they keep them? Now, some guys are locked in. All right, Hosey's locked in, Naylor's locked in, a couple guys are locked in, but Justin, Shane Bieber's contract is coming up. after next year? What are you going to do there?
And maybe some guys look to Jose like the leader that he is and say, you know what, let's take a page out of his book and say, you know what,
A hometown discount.
it's hard to walk away from an extra $25 to $50 million, but you know what? Hey, we got something special going on here. Do what I did. You're not going to be able to spend $150 million if you try it in your life anyway. So, let's stay here and let's do something special. And
I'd
let's
like to
win.
try.
Let's win a handful of rings.
Right.
Let's win a handful of rings.
Here's what I'll say.
Right.
Think about this. Give these guys Barry Bonilla contracts.
Oh, stretch them out
Stretch them
for
out.
for decades.
Yeah.
And instead of
Give them
getting
give them a little something every year
$250 million
after they're done playing.
Old Bobby's
Exactly.
been
You-
collecting $1 million a year for the last 30 or
Right.
40,
And
right?
he'll
at, home,
continue.
at home on the couch. Maybe
Yeah.
I should be an agent.
That could be a way to go.
International agent, isn't it what you told Larry?
I talked about it.
You're going to be a teacher and you're going to be a coach. You're going to
shut
like
that
it.
Go
down
find
in
you a
about
little.
2
Go find you a
seconds.
little. Shohei Ohtani over there and bring him over to us, man.
But I mean that's a way that I would try to pitch some of that stuff, and maybe it's been done, maybe they've talked about it, but I mean, why not? Because baseball doesn't last forever. Obviously, for me, football doesn't last forever. It's a game that takes its toll on your body.
Get your security.
Get your security,
Get
and
your
I mean
security.
that's a great way to do
Give
it.
some of that. Give some of that money to Tito and make him stay, because he is the reason.
Manager.
I mean, hell, he's riding a Vespa around town.
He's
I saw that. I was just about to say, how
he
cool
is
was
the
it
reason.
after game one when they showed him leaving the stadium?
Yep.
He's rolling out in the scooter.
Going back to his hotel.
Man, how real is that?
Yeah.
That is
Best
so
manager
cool.
ever for Cleveland.
Gotta be him, right? I mean,
Mike,
I mean, Grover was good. You go back to way back in 20 and 48 and 58 when they were in the World Series. They won the first two. They lost to Willie Mays in 54. But think about some of the people that have put managerial caps on in that dugout. Ugh. I mean,
Player manager Frank Robinson.
Frank Robinson. You guys had Johnny McNamara. You had Jeff Torborg. Who was the clown with Manny Acta? Oh my God! I mean, seriously, Manny Acta. I used to call him Manny Acta Fool. That was my nickname for him. He was so bad. But yeah, Tito's number one.
And he's cool.
He's cool.
He
He's
is-
still relatable. He's
so
not that old.
And that's why we love him, because here's a guy that could be any other way than him rolling out in a scooter after a win.
Rolling past the Clevelander,
Just
talking to
just
people,
waving,
saying what's
yeah,
up,
right.
you know?
Throwing you a
that's
50.
Cleveland.
Put 16 on black up at the hotel for me. You know what I mean?
Just
Yeah, he loved
blue
it.
collar, man.
It is.
He is so Cleveland.
He is. He
in
is.
such a good way. The Browns loss the other day was so Cleveland.
Right.
Francona is so Cleveland in such a cool way that you want to see the guys succeed.
You're right.
You want to learn to know the players.
Even if you-
speaking for myself, and to get behind this team.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even if
what
you,
a run!
Even if you hate the ownership and you hate the name change, which I
hate the
do
name
both.
change, yeah.
I can't stand it. But you have to support this team because they're kids
They're a
out
winner.
having and they're, you know what else? Talk about the payroll. Ain't no egos on that team.
just like
None.
the Cavs, and I'm
None.
excited about the
Oh,
Cavs.
I am too.
Now. Ooh, now we get D. Mitch.
I am
Ooh,
too.
With all that young talent, we got a great coach. Kids, as you said,
Young.
kids that are young, hungry. You want to score 20 in this game? All right. You got 20 in the next game? All right. I'll take my 10.
Yep.
Let's just keep stacking them dubs, man.
And just enough veteran presence like Rubio, like Kevin Love. They brought in
Donovan Mitchell, like I said.
Donovan Mitchell, who's 26. My God,
I didn't realize
just
he
a
was
pup.
that young.
He's
and
a pup.
he's a legit superstar.
He is. He's top 5. And they brought in Robin Lopez to help Evan Mobley out. And
I love what they're doing.
man, they're going to be fun. I mean, if I could afford a ticket, it'd be great.
Hey,
I
do
mean,
you think if the
I
Browns-
can't wait.
The
Hit your
Indians
boss
got
up
a
for
new
raise,
owner.
Come on, big fella. Let's get that 10-game plan.
Start Media Loge.
Come on.
Mercedes-Benz Start Media Loge.
If the Indians get a new owner, do you think the new owners would change the name back to the Indians?
If they wanted to set the baseball world on its ear and cash in and reclaim thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have left, because they have left. Trust me, guys. They didn't sell the playoff opener out. There was 4,000 empty seats.
Wow.
And it
never
wasn't
happens
because
in
they
baseball.
didn't like the team. It's because they can't stand Dolan and they can't stand the name change and the spineless move that it was to be PC and to change that.
The Atlanta Braves haven't changed anything.
No, they have not. If this guy, if they would, I don't know if you could ever do that. I don't know if you could. It's your team. But oh my God, I bet you they'd have to put more seats in that stadium. They'd have to make it bigger.
I agree.
I'm telling you right now.
Here's what I'll say, and I mean it's kind of a little bit different, but I do my BQA, Ballard Quarterback Academy. I work my kids out at where?
Northwest, yeah.
Northwest.
Yep.
And Northwest is what?
The Indians.
Northwest Indians.
There you go.
How about this weekend? I'm going down to Capitol to do Mount Union and Capitol. I don't even know what their new name is. They changed it because Crusaders was offensive.
No way.
Oh, come on, man.
Yes.
No way.
They are not the Capitol Crusaders. I don't even know what their name is.
It's not as bad as Delta State. I think they're the Fighting Okras. I'm not kidding you.
Mississippi Valley?
No,
Who?
Delta State.
Delta
TJ, you look
State.
it up. You're laughing over there.
The Fighting Okras. Oh my God.
Yeah, does that sit?
Please tell me that they have not won a game yet this year.
I don't know. I got to go back and look.
I couldn't,
on that
I
and
couldn't
look at
take
that.
that phone call
Capitol?
based on the name alone.
Capital's
Yeah.
not good enough to be saying we need to change our name away from the Crusaders.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Win a
Capital-
couple ball games and stop stinking inside of the OAC in football.
Yeah, look, see what Capitol's nickname. They changed it because it was
Oh
offensive.
my gosh. Yeah, well, Mark's looking that up real quick. We want to give a shout out one more
Yes, do
time to
that.
the Leatherneck Nation MC Modus chapter here in Canton. They're going to have a big bash on Saturday at the VFW in Canton on Mahoning Road. Make sure to check it out. It's from 3 to 9, $20 donation at the door. Raffle tickets are $10. You're going to have music by DJ Jason Kelly. You'll have live music by Tom Nicoli featuring Brady McBride, Joe Livers, Steve Suarez, John Carcillo, Chris Wintrip, Tony Forrester, Moody Fatah, Sam Grummett, and many more. You're going to have food from Lobies, the Massillon Eagles 190, Custard Corner, our guy, Holzapfel. They're going to be in the house. Custard Corner, if you've had their food down there, it is phenomenal. And then Hog Heaven. So you got a bunch of great food, bunch of great raffle prizes, baskets. They're going to do a gun raffle there as well. This is all run by the Leathernecks Nation MC. These are former Marines, and their goal is veterans helping veterans in the area. Had a chance to check out the Sam Center last week. Went over there and it was pretty cool to see them serve over 6,000 pounds of food to over 200 families, 200 veteran families in Stark County, helping people out, people that need help, guys and girls who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So that's pretty special. Make sure you check out the VFW on Mahoning Road this Saturday from 3 to 9.
Get there.
Get there.
Take
Great
part
time.
and
Be
enjoy.
a good time.
Did we find out the nickname here?
They are still showing
They're
Crusaders
still
on the
showing
website.
Crusaders, but I'm telling you right now, they have, unless they went back. Let me see here. Let me check. I know this is horrible to be doing this right now, but
Okras.
I just don't want to. I don't want to.
Fighting
Capital.
Okras.
I don't wanna
Capital
call them-
squashes.
I don't want to call them the wrong name.
How about the Wilmington Fighting Quakers? The oxymoron of that nickname.
Mhm. Well, I'll have to figure this out by Saturday at 1:30, I guess. But I know they're not the Capitol Crusaders anymore. All right, man. Good job, Jimmy. Good job at the podium today.
Appreciate
Make
you.
sure
man.
you check us out on the Stark Media Facebook.
There it is.
Oh my God! It's the Delta State Fighting Okras. That looks like the thing from SpongeBob.
Who, wasn't it
Plankton.
SpongeBob SquarePants?
It looks like Plankton. Oh wow, we got to get out of here.
Who's our boy who hit the dinger that would
Oscar.
always
Oscar.
Yeah, he always
Now,
comes out of
now
that.
there's 34,000 people singing the SpongeBob song when he comes up to play. It's awesome.
I saw
it's
that.
really
That's
cool.
why I brought it up. That's way cool.
It's really cool.
Congrats to Francona, man. On
Yeah,
a hell
keep
of a
going.
season. Good luck tomorrow.
Keep going. All right, check us out on Stark Media Team Facebook, on the Stark Media YouTube page, on Twitter, on Instagram. We got a lot of great things coming up for myself and TJ and Jimmy and Mark. We'll see you next time. Stark Media YouTube channel. Have a great day.